"Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel." She didn't hide it. Not the list, not the smirk when I asked if we were okay. Not the way she rolled her eyes when I suggested dinner, like I was pitching a used car. It wasn't dramatic. It was worse. It was casual. I saw the document when I used her laptop to find an old warranty. It was right there in her drive, sitting between Paris flights and meal plan detox to your place. All caps. And there it was. Line 1. Harvey. Draining ordinary. Too safe. Find better. Not a breakup letter. Not a cry for help. A bullet point. I didn't close the file. I read every line. Furniture. Shoes. Therapist. Me. I wasn't even angry. I was embarrassed because I knew something was off. The delayed replies, the fake smiles, the 2 phones. And I let it happen because I thought love was about holding on. She didn't even care if I saw it. Maybe she wanted me to. Maybe this was her way of skipping the guilt. Later that night, she sat across from me at dinner. Talked about new curtains, about maybe switching to oat milk. I nodded, pretending I hadn't seen the list. Pretending I wasn't already picturing her face when she'd come home and find the bedroom half empty, my keys on the counter, and the walls echoing. But I didn't do that. Instead, I left her something. A note. Short, just 3 words. Be careful wishing. She found it the next morning. She read it, turned around slowly, and when she saw what I'd done, what I'd taken with me, she didn't speak. She just stood there frozen. The thing about being labeled replaceable is it flips a switch you didn't even know existed. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I simply started editing my existence quietly, strategically, the same way she had prepped to replace me. Efficient and emotionless. While Kaylin chatted with her gym crush in the evenings, I researched furnished short-term rentals. While she binge-watched reality shows, I shifted our joint savings into a new private account, justified as a crypto experiment, which she couldn't care less about. And when she rolled over in bed, sighing at my mere presence, I was already planning the moment she'd wake up to absence. But here's where it gets twisted. That week, she suddenly became nicer. Not affectionate, but courteous, almost like she could smell it, like her instincts kicked in and whispered, "You're losing control." She asked if I wanted to join her for drinks with her friends Friday. I almost laughed. Her friends, those giggling vipers who once said I had adorable mall walker energy, but I said yes, not because I forgave her, but because I wanted to watch her squirm once I let the cracks show. At the bar, she introduced me with that fake girlfriend tone, like I was a rescued pet. Her eyes flicked to her phone more than my face. I sat there smiling, sipping ginger ale, while her coworker Red, I think, kept touching her elbow when he laughed. She didn't pull away. I excused myself to the restroom. In the hallway, I sent a scheduled email from my phone. Not to her, to someone else. By the time I returned, she was mid-laugh. But when she saw me, her smile faltered. I wasn't scowling. I wasn't sulking. I was calm because the next domino had just tipped over, and she had no idea what was coming. The email was short, 3 sentences sent to the leasing agent Kaylin had casually emailed weeks ago about moving into a more exciting space. I attached her original inquiry, then added, "She's free to tour any day now. I won't be needing the place." It wasn't revenge. It was confirmation. Confirmation that I knew, that I had seen everything, that I'd already begun the exit she had carefully curated, but wanted to avoid being blamed for. I was giving her what she wanted, just not the way she expected. The following morning, I woke up early. I always do. But this time, I didn't make coffee. I didn't cook eggs. I didn't feed the cat. I just sat on the edge of the bed, watching her sleep, wondering how long she'd been mentally gone. Months? A year? Her hand twitched toward my side of the bed. Out of habit, maybe. But when she found empty air, she didn't open her eyes. Just pulled the blanket tighter. I took a long breath, grabbed my go bag from the hallway closet, already packed, already paid for. Just the basics and one thing she'd never expect. The original wedding photo she loved but never framed. The one she said made her look too in love. I slipped it into the front of my duffel, not because I missed her, but because it was proof that at some point it was real, even if only for me. By noon, I was gone. She didn't text, didn't call. Either she hadn't noticed yet, or worse, she had and didn't care. But that night, it changed. At 9:47 p.m., she sent one text. "Where are you?" No emojis, no punctuation, just that. I didn't answer. Instead, I posted a single photo to our shared Google album, something we hadn't used since our honeymoon. It was a picture of the empty key hook by the door, her own reflection faintly visible in the background. The caption, "Be careful what you wish for." Minutes later, 3 dots danced on my screen, then stopped, then nothing. No message ever came through. And I knew she was standing there, phone in hand, staring at that empty wall, frozen. Finally realizing that she hadn't just pushed me away. She'd replaced me before I ever left. The next morning, I expected more messages, a call, maybe even a voicemail where she pretended to be confused or played the victim. But instead, radio silence. Total blackout. I stared at my phone longer than I should have, waiting for the screen to light up. I don't know why. Maybe I was testing her. Maybe I wanted to believe that a small part of her still cared enough to fight for what we had, even if it was too late. But nothing came, just the bland hum of the motel air conditioning unit and the soft click of the ice machine outside my room. By mid-afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I logged into our shared email account. Not something I'd ever done before, but she clearly didn't think I'd ever leave, so her password hadn't changed in years. What I found made me grip the edge of the desk so hard, my knuckles turned white. There were dozens of deleted emails in the trash. Flirty exchanges with someone named Ty, whose signature read Tyson McRae, personal trainer, NASAM certified. Some messages were short, fun last night's smirking face. Others more explicit, but the worst one, labeled Moving Timeline. It outlined a plan to phase out Ernie slowly, to avoid drama. She even wrote, "He's too passive to do anything drastic. I just need to keep him comfortable until I can fully move on. Comfortable like an old mattress, like a placeholder." I sat back, heart pounding, not from rage, but from shame. She'd studied me like a puzzle and decided I was too dull to notice I was being disassembled. But she miscalculated one thing. I don't explode. I evaporate. I cleared my browser history, logged out, and threw the burner phone I'd used to book the motel into the nearest dumpster. Then I checked into a furnished studio 2 cities away under my middle name. No forwarding address, no clues, just gone. That night, she posted a photo on her Instagram story. An old picture of the two of us laughing in the rain. The caption read, "Some people throw everything away before asking why it was broken." She was spinning the story already, but I wasn't broken. I was finally free. I wasn't planning to check her social media again. After everything I'd seen, you'd think I'd have the self-respect to stay away, but curiosity is a slow poison. It doesn't kill you all at once. It eats at you little by little. Her story was gone by the time I opened the app again. But that didn't matter. The damage was already done. She wasn't mourning me. She was curating the narrative, crafting this image of herself as the heartbroken wife whose boring husband just up and left without warning. And to the outside world, that's exactly what I looked like. The guy who gave up. The guy who vanished without even trying to fight for his marriage. But I wasn't trying to clear my name. Not anymore. I was trying to figure out who the hell I had been living with all those years. Turns out Tyson, the trainer, wasn't some summer fling. He was her emotional support for over 9 months. They had routines, inside jokes, pet names. They went on many weekend trips while I was working overtime to afford that stupid tile she wanted for the kitchen. She called him T, and in one message, she joked that she'd upgrade to version 2.0 once the warranty on Ernie expired. That line, that single line, hit harder than anything she ever said to my face. What kind of person says that about someone they once promised forever to? I kept reading. I shouldn't have, but I did. She told him I was too gentle, that I never pushed back. That I was safe, but forgettable. I laughed bitterly because she wasn't wrong. I had played it safe for years, kept the peace, bit my tongue, swallowed every moment that felt off. All because I thought love meant loyalty, even when it got quiet and uncomfortable. But I realized something that night in the glow of that dusty little studio apartment. She didn't fall out of love with me. She fell out of love with the version of me that made her feel stable. And once she felt secure, she wanted chaos again. Excitement, fire. She mistook stillness for stagnation. I gave her peace, and she resented me for it. Now she had her fire. She had her trainer. She had the spotlight. And me, I had the matchbook. A week passed, then another. I didn't hear from her again. Not a call, not a message. It was as if Kaylin had deleted me with the same ease. She deleted my name from her life plan, and maybe that should have hurt more. But what I felt instead was a strange, bitter freedom. I no longer woke up bracing myself for her indifference. I no longer rehearsed conversations in my head that she wouldn't even bother to engage in. For the first time in years, my silence wasn't ignored. It was mine. Mine to hold, mine to shape, mine to fill with anything but her. I got a new phone number, new bank account, new mailing address, all under a different name. I didn't need to vanish completely. I just needed to vanish from her version of me because the man she had discarded, the safe, uninspiring, forgettable husband, that man had stopped existing the moment I read her list. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Her spiral didn't take long. Late one evening, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line: I didn't mean all of it. It was Kaylin. Of course, it was. The message was long, rambling, and filled with contradictions. She wasn't apologizing. She was panicking. She wrote about how Tyson wasn't deep, how he didn't listen, how he rolled his eyes when she brought up her dreams, her anxieties, her ideas. She said, "He makes me feel exciting, but not seen." And I had to sit back for a moment and let that sink in, because I saw her too much. In fact, I saw every version of her, even the ones she didn't like, and now she was discovering that being adored for your surface isn't the same as being loved for your soul. I kept reading, even though I knew I shouldn't. Near the end, she wrote, "You weren't perfect, but you were real. I never thought you'd actually leave." There it was, the confession behind the betrayal. She didn't think I had it in me. She thought I'd stay no matter how many pieces of me she chipped away. She thought I was furniture, but I was firewood. And now she was feeling the cold. I didn't reply, not to her email. Not to the second one either. The third one started with, "Please just tell me where you are." I didn't answer that one either. What would I say? That I was healing. That her words came too late. That I'd spent years making excuses for the way she looked through me, like I was drywall and not a man with dreams, fears, and a heart she once promised to protect. There's no line of closure for betrayal. No quote or reply that undoes a list where you were the first thing she planned to replace. But it got worse. Not for me. For her. I heard from one of her coworkers, not someone I knew well, but enough that we'd exchanged holiday cards once. He messaged me on LinkedIn of all places and said, "Hey, I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything, but Kaylin hasn't been herself lately." She mentioned, "You left suddenly. Just wanted to check in. She looks lost." Lost. That word sat heavy with me because she was never lost when she had me. She was just restless, like stability made her itch. And now, apparently, Tyson wasn't working out as planned. She wasn't showing him off on social media anymore. No weekend getaways, no cute gym selfies, just long captions about finding peace and facing hard truths. Code for regret, disguised as personal growth. One night she tried calling, not texting, calling. My phone lit up with her name. Not Kaylin, but do not answer, because that's what I renamed her after I left. I watched the screen ring until it stopped. She tried again. I let it go. Then again, the fourth time, I turned the phone off completely and sat in silence. Not because I was angry, but because I wasn't. That's what stunned me most. The absence of rage. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't breaking down. I was calm because I finally understood something. She thought I was a backup plan, placeholder, someone who'd wait until she was done exploring. But I was never the one lost. I was just the one who stopped waiting. The strange thing is how healing doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't make a grand entrance or announce itself with some movie score moment. It slips in quietly through a morning you don't dread, a mirror you don't avoid, a coffee you enjoy just because. That's how I knew I was healing. Not because she apologized. Not because she reached out again. She did twice, long voicemails this time, full of tears and half-formed regrets. But because I didn't need anything from her anymore. Not closure, not recognition, not even revenge. I started rebuilding my life in pieces. I picked up my guitar again, the one I used to play before life turned into dinner schedules and arguments over light fixtures. I joined a local group that met on weekends for old vinyl record swaps. I made friends, real ones, people who saw me without asking me to be shinier, louder, cooler, or newer. And in that space where I didn't have to earn my place, I finally found peace. A few months later, I ran into Caitlin by accident. Grocery store, middle of the cereal aisle. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just deflated. She smiled like someone walking through a memory, like she was trying to remember how we used to be. I nodded, gave a polite, "Hey," and moved on. And I could feel her eyes on my back the entire way out. But I didn't turn around. Not once, because I wasn't the man she replaced anymore. I was the man who left and meant it. I walked out of that store smiling. Not because I'd won, but because I no longer needed to. I had my quiet. I had my fire, and I had myself. She made a list. I was first on it, but I wrote my own ending, and she wasn't in it. What moment from this story hit you the hardest? Was it the list, the quiet exit, the final meeting? Let us know in the comments. Your thoughts matter here on Reddit Confessions. If you've ever walked away from something that tried to replace you, this is your sign.